everybody. Welcome. Just in time for our next 10 videos. Come on in. Let's go. Greetings, Larry. I'm the Bug Guy. Thank you for joining me today on Larry's Fountain Pens. Today is going to be a learning day. So this video may be a little bit lengthy, but please grab yourself a comfortable chair, and I hope you can hang with me to the end of the video. I put a lot of work in this video to reach out to the newbies. So if you're new in the fountain pen world, you're thinking about getting into the fountain pen, but you're still not sure. You're not quite there yet. You're still thinking about making decisions. Should I or shouldn't I? Or for those that have already crossed the line and made that decision, you want to be in the fountain pen world, but you're still kind of like walking around in a maze. You're not sure of which direction to go. There are so many directions to go. And you're unsure of this pen, that pen, inks and nibs, and how to use a pen and clean and just the whole 9 yards in general. There's a lot. There's a lot to absorb. You can't do it in one video. You can't do it in a few minutes. It takes time. I am going to try my best to lay down the path and put a light on that path to help direct you to where you might want to end up going. So we're going to start off with the Jinhao 599. It's a clear demonstrator pen. And here it is right here. The Jinhao 599. And it's a plastic, transparent fountain pen with a fine steel nib. And these pens come with an ink converter. So you can also use a standard international short cartridge. And this fountain pen, I'm using the Diamine, I believe it's the Blue Velvet. It's either the Blue Velvet or the Diamine Sapphire, one of the two. So, real quickly, the length of the pen. It's 138.5 millimeters or 5.46 inches. The weight of this pen is about 22 grams. The widest point at the cap of this pen is 14.0 millimeters or 0.55 inches. So this kind of shows you the pen size. And you can post the pen. But remember, this is plastic. You don't want to post it in too hard because you could crack the barrel. But you can post it enough where it's not going to go anywhere. For me, it's fine. For some people, everybody's different. They may think it's so odd. It looks odd like this. You're going to find those that are going to think different than you. But that's okay. You're going to worry about what you think, not what anybody else thinks. It's all about you. It's not about me or what everybody else thinks. If you're happy with your pen, then that's what counts. Isn't that right? Right. So here's the cap, and then uncapped, it feels nice in the hand. I can write either way. I prefer, if I can, to post them. So this one already has a cartridge in it. What I want to do first, before I even show you the writing sample, here's some of the tools you'll need. Of course, a fountain pen. You might need a syringe to fill a cartridge if you're going to choose a different ink. or you might want to have your favorite cartridge with your favorite ink, or an ink that you're thinking about ready. And if you're thinking about filling the pen, and I'll just pull this off, filling the ink converter with an ink, you might want to have your ink bottle or a vial for your ink sample ready. And you might want to keep one of these modules to have your ink to help you fill a pen, because this really works real well. I use it quite often. So what I'm going to do right now to try to make this as easy as I can, to really try to get through and help you guys. So I've set everything aside. We're just going to focus on this pen right now. And let me get a tray over here. Alright. You're going to need some kind of grip. And I'm using rubber grip here. You can get these at any pen store. Goulet pens, Anderson pens, Poppy Jet pens. They're everywhere. Or you can get some napkins, something good to grip with. And I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to take the pen apart, the whole pen completely apart. And we're going to talk about everything. First, this is a snap-on cap. Listen to the click. That's the click. There's your clip. And this is the finial on top. This is what it looks like. And that, as you see the pen go in, it fits that little cup in the inside, the black one. That's probably to help the pen from not drying out. So, here's your barrel, and it has two openings on the side, so this can't be made into an eyedropper. It'll leak. And as you go down the barrel, right here is your grip, and there's nothing sharp at all. I have small fingers, and I would hold my pen like this. If you have larger fingers, you can have enough room to hold that grip wherever. And here's this nib. It's a steel nib. So I am going to first, let me unscrew the barrel, and then I'll take off the converter. This is a pull-out converter. Pulls out, and to go back in, same way, opposite way, and press in. I'm going to pull it out again. Let's talk about the converter. Now, sometimes on these Chinese pens, and sometimes on other pens, this may come off, the little silver cap to it. But just put it right back on, no big deal. And here we go with the little piston going to go down in the converter. This is what's going to draw your ink up. When you pull it up and you go back down, again, you're going to draw the ink up. And you see that little back piston going up. And then sometimes you may have air in the converter. So you may have to get some of that air out, and you may have to go down on it some to get 1 or 2 drops of ink out to get that ink flowing again, because it may start drying up on you, or you may not get a good flow and you think your times are out of line. Your times on your pen, there's your nib, and there's the times, that little tip right there, and they look like this. So if you get some ink starvation to the feed, you're not going to get anything going on to the nib. So you might want to feed the nib some ink. Okay? And they have this O-ring on here to make it secure when you put it on. I've had them come off before, and I've used them without it, so it didn't hurt the pin any. Sometimes I think it's just for decoration. Now, I'm going to put the barrel back on. We're going to take off the nib and the feed. So I'm going to use my rubber grip. I'm going to place it on the nib. And what you want to do, you want to grab the nib and the feed. Okay? And pull it out. You don't want to put pressure on the wings and bend down. You don't want to ruin that nib. So I'm going to get the grip on here. And I am going to pull off, just like that. Usually they both come off, but this time just that. And there's the feed. So here we have the feed, the nib, here's the grip, here's the barrel, and here's your ink converter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. These are easy to clean out. So are you with me so far? It's not rocket science. It's really easy. It can be scary at first, and it was for me. I was terrified to take a nib out because I knew I wouldn't be able to put it back in. But slowly but surely, that changed. My whole behavior and attitude changed because the love I have and the passion that's inside my heart told me, Larry, you need to know how to do this. If you want to continue with fountain pens, there'll be a time that you'll have to confront your fear and handle it. Well, that time came one day, and I handled it. So now we're going to put this back together, okay? So, and it's actually kind of fun. This is a clear plastic feed, and they also come in ebonite. That's for another day. Simple, clear feed. And then here is your nib that goes on it, the steel nib. So, I'm adjusting it, and you see how I have it there? There's the feed, and I've got it just right below the tip of the tine of the nib. That's kind of where I want it. And before I go there, let me show you one thing. Right, I don't know if you can see it. It's clear. Right in the middle, you see a channel there. Well, that channel, and you'll see right here on the end of the nib, there's a little hole. That's a breather hole, and there's a little slit there. Well, all this together will help bring the ink to the feed, to the nib, and they'll work as one. So now we're going to put this back in. So on this grip section, it's going to be easy. We're going to just slip. I'm going to show you the inside if you can see that. It's a round circle. Sometimes they have a little cutout in there, and you have to fit this into it. But this one goes right in there. Pretty simple. Boom. That's all there is to it. Now, wasn't that simple? Real simple. Are you with me still? Okay. Now, I'm going to get my ink converter. And I'm going to put it in to the grip inside of it. Now it's locked in place into the feed. the ink converter attaches into the feed, and the ink will feed through the feed all the way down and into the nib. And the nib needs to be on that feed. They work together. And you can see the ink through these demonstrators, which is pretty cool how it's working. So that's that. And here are the holes on this plastic barrel why you cannot make this into a eyedropper. And that's for another review for all newbies folks. Just hang with me, guys, girls. We're going to get through this. I guarantee you that. Or I'm not Larry the Pinbug Guy. I've made my choice. I've made my mind. I will attack this to help whoever I can to get a grip on fountain pens. And I'll put the cap back on. Hear a click. Boom. That's all there is to that. So, before I go any further, here's a different Chinese converter. They're very cheap. They're just affordable. And this fits that Jinhao as well. This is the Mont Blanc cartridge which fits that Jinhao. And this, I had an empty one. Here it is. This empty one is a diamine cartridge, excuse me. And the diamine cartridge fits the Jinhao. Again, a syringe with a blunt end on the tip of the syringe, which goes on at the tip of the syringe. Push it right on, and there you go. Almost like giving yourself a shot, right? This is for the ink. It will help you fill up your ink converter. It will help you fill up your cartridge, excuse me, or your converter. I have done both ways. I have filled up the converter and the cartridge using a syringe. So it comes in handy. So let me just put this back up. I just pull out the syringe, insert that right here, put it back in, and it stays together. Okay? Alright, I'm going to put my grip up. You don't have to keep them in a sleeve, but I do. Here's a pen that's on loan from one of my reviewers. So there's no need of going over the pen. I've done that already. Right now, I don't know if you can see this, but the ink, I can see it on my end. See if I can get some light on it to help you. I can see the ink on the grip. You see all that dark part right in there? That's the ink all in there. Because remember, this is how it looked before. You see the clear? So the ink is working its way down in there. And this pen has a black feed on it. So, what's going to happen next, sometimes when you put, I can go ahead and pull this cartridge out. Here's the cartridge. Put it in. You hear that little click? It's in. Now sometimes you may not hear that click, but it's in there. And you let that ink work its way into the feed, and it goes right on in there, and it's ready. Sometimes If that doesn't happen and your ink converter, your ink cartridge is not too hard, if it's soft enough, you can give it some squeezes. Let me see if I can do that now for you. And to get that ink flowing, because sometimes it may not get the ink in there fast enough, but I'm going to squeeze it because this little fella's almost out of ink, and there goes the drop. You see that drop? Okay. And I'll put the barrel back on. So, the pen is ready to go. Now, I'll get me some paper. I use Rhodia dot paper, but then I use Rhodia line paper or whatever paper I feel like it, but usually a lot of people use Rhodia dot. So, let's go ahead and do some writing. We'll do some writing close up. Today is the 7th or the 8th. All right. And this is Diamine. That's the name of the ink that I'm using. And I just want to make sure. Okay. This is a Diamine blue ink, and this is a fine nib. So this is Diamine blue velvet. And we'll go ahead and do some wetness right there. And that's pretty good for a fine steel nib. That is really good. Nice and wet. That's how I like them. Diamine is a real good ink. And this is a fine nib, and it's steel. So we know that, right? Okay. This is a Jinhao 599. All right. So we got all that down. So now we'll do some writing. And we'll do a few little swirls there. And that's just to make sure that the ink is keeping up with the feed and there's no skips, bad starts, hard starts. Everything is good to go. And there's your line variation. I don't push my nib. They're not a flex nib, so I don't push them. Because I don't, here's the times right here. I don't want to do this. Bring a time, fine. So that's that. Upside down, for those that are interested, it'll give you more of a fine nib. I'm sorry. This is a fine nib, but would be like an extra fine for this pen. So it does write pretty good. Look at that. Sometimes you could be writing a letter, say, "Hello, Bob," and you might want a thinner line. But I don't ever use my pens upside down. Never had the need for it. But some people care for it, so that's that. Well, that's going to cover on an entry level to help new people coming into the fountain pen world. if you're out there and you're listening, and you're one of those that are still not sure if you want to do this or not, I hope this was beneficial and helpful. This is the ink I'm using, the Diamine Blue Velvet. And here's a few more comparisons to that ink. Private Reserve DC Super Show Blue. Here's Private Reserve Lake Placid Blue. And here's Private Reserve Midnight Blue. So for all you blue folks out there, hope that helps. And now we'll go and do some pen comparison, and that should finish it up. Okay, here is the Jinhao 599 demonstrator. And I'm going to put it here is the Noodler's Ahab. And the Jinhao is just a tad longer than the Noodler's, but the Noodler's has some more girth than the Jinhao. And let's bring the Preppy on board. The Preppy is about the same length as the Jinhao, and maybe the Jinhao has just a little bit more girth than the Preppy. And this is the Preppy. And here is a Lamy All-Star. And they are the same length. And the girth is, they're just about the same. And show you that the clips are a little different, but almost the same. They're not identical, no, but they kind of got that shape going on still. And they both have the side windows. And Lamy has their name there, and Jinhao has their name right here. So it's kind of a copy of a Lamy All-Star. Well, okay, folks. I hope that this video was helpful to some of you folks out there that have been curious about fountain pens, that have had questions about fountain pens. I hope this answered a few of those questions. Now, I'll be doing another review for Newbies, so stay tuned to my channel. I've got a lot more coming your way. Appreciate everybody taking the time to spend with me, Larry the Pen Bud Guy, and I want to tell you all, please be safe and don't text and drive. I will talk to you guys later. I'm out of here.